Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're just about ready to make a start, and before we do that, I have been asked to convey the following. The first thing we would like to do tonight on behalf of the organizers and the people taking part is to thank you for making the effort of coming here tonight. After last night, we're well aware of the fact that a lot of you have had to make changes and had to adapt different things, and we want to make certain that you go away with our sense of appreciation for having done that. Unfortunately, there have been some changes to the flow of the production because certain people have not been able to change their itinerary for today. Some of the numbers might be happening at different times as what your program shows. This, we feel, could well affect the flow of the whole production and maybe some of the things that we're trying to put across to you. So we hope that you will bear with us. I can tell you that the producers and the people backstage and also those who are taking part have all had pretty anxious times since yesterday. Not only have they been more nervous than perhaps they would normally have been, we've also been a little bit low in spirit, you know, getting over what happened last night and not really knowing what was going to happen today. So I hope that you will bear that with us as well. Also, we hope, like we did yesterday, that you will show your support, and last night I think we had an excellent reception from you. And above everything else, we hope that you enjoy the production. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Production, So You Listened. We would like to remind you that no eating, drinking or smoking is allowed in the theatre. Please welcome your hosts for the evening, Gaina Vatbani and Eric Rowbottom.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jaime explained it more eloquently than I was going to explain it. Thank you for being here with us tonight. It's great to see all of you here. We are pleased that you have been able to make it tonight, and we hope that you will not be disappointed after everything that happened yesterday. We were so pleased with last year's performance that we felt that you could put with us for another year. We are sure that there will be many good moments to treasure, and we look forward to sharing these.
During the course of the evening, you will become aware that I'll be moving my hands a lot. No, I'm not playing charades, and although I normally do use my hands when I speak, tonight I will be signing in Makaton. Makaton is a sign language taken from British Sign Language, originally developed as a means of helping adults with learning disabilities to acquire language. Nowadays, Makaton is used with a much wider population, and it has helped adults and children to either acquire speech or provided them with a means of communicating with others. Speech or language disability is less obvious, yet this does not mean that it is any less debilitating. Communication is a basic human right, and it is through systems like Makaton that this right is given back to the individual. Makaton is not a signing system for the deaf, although they also use it. Speech is always used with Makaton, and only key words are signed. These are the words that impart meaning to what I'm saying. Hence, my signing tonight will not be as fluent as the signing you see on TV. Some of the signs you will recognize immediately. Others are more abstract, and you will need to hear the word in order to understand what I'm saying. Whatever you make of it, I hope it will be fun. But most importantly, I hope that it raises your awareness towards those to whom communication is a struggle.
As you are aware, and even though the production exists and stands in its own right, the proceeds of the performance will go towards the Cheshire Home in Tangiers and the JM Memorial Foundation. We will talk about these two locally registered charities as the evening progresses.
It could be said that tonight is about listening. There are, however, many ways of listening to people, and I'm sure we have all experienced times when we have felt heard and times when we've all felt ignored or dismissed. Our stories, written by Neil Costa and directed by Jackie Villa, is inspired by real events and very real people who felt they were never heard. This is your chance.
I've always lived with my dad, at least until my mum died. I remember he used to tell my auntie I was too much work. I never understood that. He never talked to me about what he said to others about me. Funny that. He always complained he had to work, cook, wash and clean. He always played hell when he couldn't go out with his friends. About a year after that, I was sent to a group home where he said others like me could live together and be happy. And there I gained a lot of independence. I got to go to the post office for my money every week, and I got to do other things like dealing with the bank. But that's not all. I do the housework, the shopping, washing and the ironing. I even have my own room just the way I like it. I have friends there. We do have fun. We sing, play, talk, share the jobs that need to be done. A support worker comes round every day for about 3 hours. She helps us with the shopping, sorting out our money, and preparing the main meal. The whole thing's funny because, like my dad, I also work, cook, wash, and clean. I sometimes take care of others. I can go out by myself and have a drink with my friends. No one wanted to hear what I had to say. My dad used to laugh at my ideas. My teachers told me not to be dumb. Funny that, if my dad had ever asked me, or ever listened to me, I could have told him that with a little patience, he would have done all the things he asked me. I can do them now. It's too late. You'll never see me now. He's already dead.
I've been going out with Stephen since I was 13. People always cause bother between us.
Especially our parents.
They used to tell Stephen that I was two-timing. They said that it was wrong for him to go out with me. They said we couldn't go out together. That it was bad.
My mum then transferred me to another school. She said it wasn't because of Pauline. I knew it was. People always thought I couldn't think for myself.
I think that is why our parents tried to stop us from going out with each other. I was told once that I couldn't take care of Stephen or myself. I told my mother that I could take care of myself and that Stephen was just as capable. I was very sad when Stephen left. My mom said I would easily forget. I didn't. I then met Paul. My mom said I had to live with him as well. She said she'd throw me out of the house if I refused. When you're in love, parents seem to want to split you up and stuff. I do realize that a relationship is very difficult, that it takes a lot of time and effort. My mom thinks I don't know that. They never ask. They never listen.
I'm going out with Pauline again. We are living together. We both work. It's been very difficult to find a job. Every time you sign a form and they ask you what school you went to, they say they'll write you a letter. When the letter comes, I don't get the job because of the school I went to. Teachers always told me that no two people are the same. Yet job managers seem to think that. It's funny. I can see the difference between people and their different abilities. We all have a talent, and we need to take the time to find this out. Did you know that?
The Cheshire Home Group has many supporters and friends, and we are very grateful to them. When we presented the production at the Queen Cinema last year, Mr. Brami Benedà proved to be a true friend of the group and its work. In recognition of this, the local Cheshire Home Committee would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Benedà for his efforts. I would like to call Mrs. Vivian Canessa on behalf of her father, Mr. Benedà, who is unable to be with us tonight, and Carenza Morillo, a member of the local Cheshire Home Committee. By the way, I'm not sitting back here because the curtain is going to fall again. I get to get all the kids clear.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. Christian Falsum joins us now to sing a song which in its time carried an important message. It is still just as alive today. Welcome Christian with Imagine.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It is hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us and the world will be as one.
Independence means a variety of things to different individuals. The dictionary defines independent as not depending on someone else for validity, efficiency, value, opinions, or livelihood. It goes on to say that someone who is independent does not need other people's help. It seems to me that in this sense, very few people can be considered to be independent.
We all need other people's help because there are a variety of things that we cannot do ourselves. That is fine. We begin to have a problem when good-meaning individuals impose help, attitudes or views on us without asking to see if this is appropriate. Dancer Academy looks at this issue of independence.
Ipswich East. Last year, we emphasised how everyone has inside them a piece of good news. Everyone is a great and important character, and we must listen to them attentively. We must look at them with gentleness and deference, and give them great hope. And if they are young, we must help them grow proud. Listen to Matthew and Nairi Turnock.
If I can go into a library, why can't Matthew?
And if my sister went to into a theatre in a dignified way,
Pregare Tomaki, please. The J.M. Memorial Foundation was constituted in May 1996, and it became a registered charity in August of that same year. The main aim of the foundation is to endeavor to create a more positive image of dance in society, focusing on three main aspects. The foundation believes that the role of dance in education is too important to dismiss. It further believes that persons with special needs have an important and essential contribution to make in this respect. Finally, it is keen to promote ballet, jazz and contemporary dance, taught by suitably qualified tutors within the male population.
Tonight sees 3 students who have applied for one of 2 awards. Trustees visit the students at their dance school on several occasions, and the decision is based on a variety of factors. The recipient of the award was decided last week, but he doesn't know this yet.
The J.M. Memorial Award is an award to the male dancer who has excelled both at class and performance level in ballet, jazz and contemporary dance. The student will be awarded a grant to cover 9 months tuition at his dance school. We'll tell you more about the foundation later, because now we hand you over to Brendan Crawford, who is accompanied by Liana Wright.
Big hand, please.
If you're interested in supporting the work of the foundation by becoming a member, you are welcome to pick a copy of the newsletter during the interval. As you are aware, the Alwani Charitable Trust was established some time ago, and since then they have generously supported the work of many locally registered charities. Tonight, we are delighted to accept a donation on behalf of the J.M. Memorial Foundation, and we call on stage one of the trustees, Ms. Desiree Macard. Hoping to start using the back.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on the splendid show that you have put up tonight. It's very enjoyable. It's my pleasure, on behalf of the All Ireland Charitable Trust, to donate of £500 to your foundation for the splendid work that you are doing for the needy people.
I would just like to thank the Albani Charitable Trust for encouraging us with our work. Thank you very much.
Mark Montoglio wrote Liam's story a few weeks ago. We will be privileged to enter the private world of an individual who is silently thinking as he spends some time with his pet. We will, of course, be able to hear his thoughts thanks to the magic of the theatre. And his thoughts are obviously as fluid as he would want them to be. Anyway, Liam knows his pet understands because it is a good listener. It never interrupts when Liam is talking about important stuff, or even when he needs someone to tell ordinary things to. The story needs little explanation.
Hello, fish. Hungry? I knew you were. We understand each other, and you're a great listener. I've been asked to give a talk later on. I was telling a friend earlier how sometimes people thought I was drunk when I wasn't. Sometimes people thought I was brain dead when I couldn't say my name. Oh, they laughed. Have you forgotten your name? I would have liked to have kicked in their heads, but that's not polite. He said my talk could help other people. What do you think about this? Stuttering isn't a cool disability. Those with physical disabilities have Terry Fox and Jim Burns. Short people have Michael J. Fox. Fat people have Roseanne Barr and Elizabeth Taylor. The blind have Alan Keller. The deaf have Marley Matlin. We have Porky Pig. Stammerers are often seen as people who are nervous, and so are socially inadequate in some way. Sometimes we are seen as blithering idiots. We can be perceived as having little or no personality, and so are ignored or ridiculed. As a child, every time I opened my mouth, I felt I was in trial. Speaking fluently was a test, and I was failing. Under the spotlight, I positively squirmed as people watched me to see how I might perform. If I spoke relatively well, their encouragement only made the next bout of stammering more humiliating. I felt no one wanted to hear what I had to say, only to judge the way words came out. This led to frustration, resentment, and defiance. I sometimes pretended I was mute. It became a habit. There is something dreadfully ironic about maintaining fluency by avoiding speaking. On bad days, it was not uncommon for me to give up in mid-sentence. So painful was the effort. I used to dread being asked to go to the shop. I'd rehearse on the way there and substitute as much as I could. There was no way that I could say, can I have? So, I used to stand in front of the stall, which was full of whatever I wanted, apples for example, and say, "Do you have an apple?" A really absurd situation. Often, I left with something I didn't want, or even nothing at all. Reading out in class was a painful experience for me. I remember an occasion when it took me 10 minutes to spit out 2 sentences. Finally, it came out. The others applauded. I have never felt so humiliated in all my life. I did all I could to avoid being chosen. I would sit at the back to hide. I would sit at the front to appear not to be hiding. I would burn my gaze into the desk lid to avoid the teacher's eyes, all the time literally sweating with fear. I learned nothing from those lessons, except how inadequate I thought I was, and I often wished the floor would open up and swallow me. Once at school during class, the teacher asked me a question. I hesitated as I answered with difficulty. The teacher walked over to me and asked me to stand up, which I did. He then asked me another question, and, as I tried to answer, I noticed I could not keep my legs still. This was obviously to help me with my stammer. Unfortunately, he was not sympathetic towards this and said, "There's no need to do a song and dance, Liam. Just answer the question." He then said that I shouldn't get away with things because I was remedial, and he said I was insolent. He came really close and shouted, "Answer me, boy! Don't just stand there!" A girl felt sorry for me and said, "Leave him alone, sir. He can't help it." He did, but I still walked around all day with a big lump in my throat, holding back the tears. He called me remedial. I wouldn't even use that word now for my dirty old car. I still hate that insensitive pillow to this day. Years on, it struck me that I was an intelligent human being in my own right, who just happened to have a stammer. Sure, stammering was inconvenient and annoying, but I was no less useful than anyone else, and was determined not to let the stammer ruin my life. We're very hard on ourselves, probably far more than anybody from outside is. I think, therefore I am. I perceive myself, therefore I become that which I perceive. My dream has always been that I would have perfect speech, which I know no one in the world has. But I wanted to be at least as fluent as the rest. The fact is, I will never attain this fluency. I will always have a stammer. And even to stammer in the best way possible involves a great cost. The cost is to give up a dream that I have held on for too many years, but has never come. Recognizing that my dream of perfect speech will never become a reality is half the battle run. To be able to really believe that to stammer or to have any other disability is fine is important. It is indeed part of an individual's whole person, and it is a whole person others love. Wholeness is one of spirit and personality, and has little or nothing to do with any physical dysfunction. I have become a person, and not just a stammerer. I can view myself in a new light. I am successful. Does it matter that my speech isn't perfect? People can take me or leave me. All I say is, good luck to anyone who's searching for that attitude.
And Mark Mongovia would like to thank Alan Jensen for doing that piece at the last minute. A big clap for Alan Jensen. One of the aims of the J.M. Memorial Foundation is to encourage students to attend schools led by suitably qualified tutors. The importance of this cannot be underestimated when we consider that we are talking about the physical, emotional, educational and professional development of young children.
Ethical, moral and professional issues are important here. As a short example, the trustees have selected a class they attended recently where many of the objectives set out by the Foundation were being met. Please welcome Suleika Green, co-director of Dancer Academy, and some of the students who offer us a very brief look into a 1 hour long class.
So many nights I'd sit by my window, waiting for someone to sing me his song. So many dreams I kept deep inside me.
Hope you're all tired by now. Jaime Felices first visited the Cheshire home in Tangier in 1985. Since then, he has been taking over groups of young people for a week in summer. The benefits of these visits cannot be underestimated. In the end, it seems that our community benefits just as much, if not more, than the home itself. The experiences of these young people are all different, and each individual will benefit differently from them.
What is clear is that our society can only be a better place in the future because these young people will be our next generation of leaders. When you contribute to the work of the Cheshire Home Group, you're not only helping persons who are disadvantaged and in a difficult situation, you are also contributing to the development of attitudes and values in our young people, which can only make Gibraltar a better place to live.
Our last contribution to part 1 takes the form of a short lecture, delivered by Natalia Linares on behalf of a distinguished researcher who is unable to be with us tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I would like to talk to you about disability. Not disability in general, but one which is rarely, if ever, classified as one. For this reason, and because my research is still at a preliminary stage, I will refer to it as Disability X. People suffering from Disability X are not wheelchair users. They do not have physical impairments, or do not appear to have any learning disabilities whatsoever. They appear to be physically and mentally normal, and by this I mean within average limits for scientific purposes. So what are the symptoms, you may well be wondering? Well, people affected by Disability X feel uneasy when there are other people with disabilities around them. They do not know what to say or how to react when these individuals approach them. They have a tendency to make rash assumptions about people that are generally unsubstantiated. However, like most disabilities, the individual affected by Disability X is not to blame for the situation in which they find themselves. Ignorance has more to do with it. Unlike with other disabilities, the miracles of science should allow us now, nearing the millennium, to eradicate Disability X from society. A vaccine with the right combination of acceptance, understanding, education and knowledge will do the trick. Ignorance is the greatest disability on earth. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's all for now. There will be a 30 minutes interval and we look forward to seeing you back for part 2.
We have just seen Stylus Dance Company offering us a beautiful representation of Frozen. We hope this is not how you feel right now, and that you've managed to feel at home with us tonight. Before you come to erroneous conclusions, now Eric hasn't got scared and abandoned us. To get us back into the swing of things, we welcome Eric and Adrian Pisarello singing Wonderful Tonight. Big round of applause.
It's late in the evening. She's wondering what clothes to wear. She puts on her makeup and brushes her long blonde hair. And then she asks me, do I look alright? And I say yes, you look wonderful tonight. Go to the party and everyone turns to see this beautiful lady that's walking around with me. And then she asks me, do I feel alright? And I say yes, I feel wonderful tonight. And I feel wonderful because I see the love that's right in your eyes. And the wonder of it all is that you just don't realize how much you love me. It's time to go home now, and I've got an aching head. So I give her the car keys, and she helps me into bed. And then I tell her, as I turn down the lights, you know my darling, you are wonderful tonight. You know my darling, you are wonderful tonight. You know my darling, you are wonderful tonight. about self-esteem, our bodies play an important part in this equation. We never allow others to enter completely into our private world, and we disclose our true self to very few people. That is, of course, if we know what we really stand for and who we really are. In this sense, there is an element of safety here. We can hide some things we don't appreciate much about ourselves. Our body, however, is the first image we present to the outside world. It generally makes a statement even before we open our mouth.
There is often a certain dissatisfaction and regret that one's body is not as beautiful as one would like it to be. But you had better be its friend, or accept it or love it if you can, because it might get the better of you.
The Body Shop encourages you to know your mind and love your body. Perhaps we can start tonight. Please welcome our models, sponsored by The Body Shop.
of you would like to thank Galt and Associates for their models. There should be no reason why individuals should not be entitled to access everyday things we take for granted. Everyone has a contribution to make, however small, and given a chance, some wonderful things could happen.
We should perhaps focus on what individual persons can or could do, rather than concentrate on disabilities or difficulties which may not be relevant. Dancer Academy helps us now to focus on what persons can do, rather than what they cannot.
Veces he pensado ya que mi mundo de cabeza va hacia un mar profundo de mentiras y hipocresías. Cuántas veces no habré yo querido ayudar en este mundo mío a todos esos que mueren y sufren como tú. Los colores sobran, porque el corazón lo puso el mismo, tu Dios el mío. Para quienes botan una sonrisa, porque la fortuna que no avisa revela que en su mañana a ti te ve. El mundo que soñé se vivirá en colores, yo nunca escucharé escalas de cañones. El mundo que soñé tendría
says you can't dance on a chair. We see the return of Adrian Pizzarello. Adrian wrote this song after attending one of a series of 3-hour-long workshops led by Mark Montoni at the Youth Centre for the Cheshire Home Group. I contributed to the workshop together with Mrs. Valerino from the Disability Society, and I must say that I was impressed with the level of response from the young people in attendance. This must have surely inspired Adrian to write that day. Please welcome Adrian Pizzarello with I Knew How They Felt.
Just the other night, shooting magnificent in this dream. The telephone rang, the latest phone that I heard, and I realized automatically I could answer the phone with no one helping me. Didn't have to lift myself from my wheel. And I realized that everyone else had to bend themselves down to speak to their friends. This phone's too low, they all complain. And the funny thing was, I knew how they felt. Sad for the rest, but happy for myself. I went to a bar for a drink. Excuse me, sir, and cold beer, please. He poured me a drunk and I realized automatically I could reach for my beer with no one helping me. Didn't have to lift myself from my wheel. And I realized that everyone else had to bend themselves down to reach for their rails. This was too low, they all complain. And the funny thing was, I knew how they felt. So to treat myself, I went down to the city. The lights went out. Oh, I relaxed myself. The movie started to show, and I realized automatically I could now use the space provided for me. Didn't have to lift myself from my wheel. And I realized that everyone else had to stay standing up for their whole of the field. There are no seats for us to complain. And the funny thing was, I knew how they felt. Then I woke up to find out everything was just a dream. All was the same, exactly the same as before going to bed. But I realized automatically I would have the same problem affecting me. I'd have to lift myself from my wheel. And I realized that everyone else would carry on living exactly the same. There was no need for them to complain. And the funny thing is,
The J.A. Memorial Foundation also supports individuals by offering discretionary grants to cover the costs of attending classes.
One such student is Davinia Nunez, who has been attending Sevillana classes at Rumores Dance School. Tonight, we see her dancing on her own. Welcome, Davinia Nunez, please.
Al ritmo de su tacón de María, al ritmo de su tacón de María. Cuando me escucho conmigo en el barrio del Cordón, mi corazón ha quedado, que así con mi paso Cuando me escucho conmigo en el barrio del Cordón, mi corazón ha quedado, que así con mi corazón.
A big round of applause now for Christian Falsum, who's going to offer us his rendition of Wanderer, Wall.
Thank
feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads that lead us there are winding, and all the lights that light the way you're blinding. There are many things that I'd like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe they're gonna be a one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. Said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. You're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. Oh yeah.
The J Memorial Foundation has two main awards, the J Memorial Award and the Joseph Santos Memorial Award. The latter is awarded to a student with special needs who has made exceptional progress in ballet, jazz and contemporary dance. There are no applicants this year, which perhaps in itself is revealing. We look forward to having their contributions next year.
Our next presentation sees Clayton Yomi and Alfred Garcia, our last award participants, offering us a piece choreographed by them. This already obtained a prize at the recent choreography competition organized by Dancer Academy. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Big round of applause. So true. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Please welcome Eric singing People Like Us.
Baby, I know you hear a lot of talk about bad times ahead, that I'm the wrong kind of man. What you need is a doctor or a lawyer instead. But I know that I'm not made of money. God knows I'm a fool. But you know that I'll always be there for you. People like us got no business in love. Yeah, that's what the people say. People like them got nothing better to do than chase our dreams away. When I finally found you, I will let go. They say it's never gonna last, but baby, what do they know when they say people like us got no business being in love? Baby, I know things may not get better before they get worse. They've all got their reasons why we can't survive the culture, chapter and verse. But I know that this life ain't easy. God knows times are hard, but you know that I always take care of you. People like us got no business in love. Yeah, that's what I hear them say. People like them got nothing better to do than chase our dreams away. When I finally found you, I won't let go. They say it's never gonna last, but baby, what do they know when they say people like us got no business being in love? I wanna make them all look foolish in the end. We gonna make believe the world, yeah. Okay, come on. Well, I finally found you, and I won't let go. They say it's never gonna last, but baby, what do they know when they say people like us got no business? Ooh, people like us, baby. People like us got no business being in love. When I finally found you, and I won't let go. They say it's never gonna last, but baby, what do they know when they say people like us got no business being in love? People like us, what do they know?
We now come to the moments awaited by many. I would like to call on stage Desiree McCall back again, accompanied by Priscilla Sacramento, senior, who has kindly agreed to present the J.M. Memorial Award for 1998. Please a warm welcome to them.
The trustees found this a very difficult task because this year's entries were all of a very high standard, but only one could be awarded the grant to cover 9 months' tuition at his dance school.
This was a very difficult decision for all of us. But after serious deliberation, it was decided that the Jane Memorial Award should be granted to Clayton Yomi.
We come to the end of the evening, sad as this is. We are sure that you must have found something that you have enjoyed, something you have learned from, and something you would like to see again.
We leave you now with St. Bernadette's Occupational Therapy Centre Dance Group. The J.M. Memorial Foundation is pleased to support the effort put in by this team of dancers, who will perform to Daria G's Sunshine. In this case, we believe Sunshine to be a more appropriate name. Big round of applause.
Brilliant. You won't stand very near the...
No, we'll stand on the doors.
Stand further back.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, before we say our final good night, we would like to have the cast back on stage.
Stylus Dance Company.
Apart from our stories,